for me?
Go ahead and talk.
Hello, check, check. Yep. 1, 2. Hello. Yep, that's what I'm thinking right now. It's amazing. It's awesome.
Okay.
All right. Roll, record, confirm.
Yep.
Is it?
Yeah, it's recording.
Really?
It was red.
Okay. If you're seeing red, I can't see it from here. All right. Excellent. Hey, thanks for doing this. It's
No
a pleasure
problem.
Finally getting to meet you. Chet, how does this story begin? As I understand, reading up on you, you kind of grew up around the rivers.
Yeah. I grew up basically right here, above Lockendam 14 on the Mississippi River, East Moline, Illinois. And I was fortunate enough to have two parents that were teachers and loved the river. So that's where I was raised, and pretty much I feel like looking back, I was pretty lucky.
Yeah. Now you did shell diving. You did a lot, deckhand, all kinds of stuff. Tell me a little bit about working on the river.
I did. I started when I was 15, shell diving or clamming, basically, and that's spending 6 to 8 hours a day on the bottom of the river, crawling around, diving for mussel shells. And I worked about a 150-mile stretch of the river with my brother in the summer months. That's how I started saving money to go to college. And once I was in college, stay in college. Then I did some commercial fishing, pulling in nets, and selling the fish. And then I also worked on a towboat like this, running sand up the Illinois River. So in all those experiences, that's where I got to see, all the thousands of barrels and thousands of tires and all the junk out there, and just wanted to clean it up.
What kind of impression did that make on you, seeing all this trash all up and down the river?
I mean, first of all, the Mississippi River has been like my backyard, and then, looking at it from, let me say it again.
Okay.
First of all, the Mississippi River is like my backyard, but also it's like a symbol of the nation, and everybody around the world knows the Mississippi River. And so seeing all the garbage and trash out there, I just didn't like it and wanted to pretty much do something about it, and knew that I couldn't be the only one that didn't like seeing it like that.
So I understand you started writing people, writing the government, trying to get something done about it.
Yeah.
And where did it go? Did it go anywhere?
I made a lot of calls to like the state, and anybody with any acronym I was calling them, and but I really didn't get very far. But I'm 21 years old. I'd never done a cleanup before, especially at the scale that I was proposing, because I wanted to do a 435-mile stretch from St. Louis all the way to Guttenberg, Iowa, both sides of the river, 1,000 miles of shoreline. I had some of the equipment. I didn't really have anything going for me. The only thing I did have going for me is that it's the Mississippi River, and it needed to be cleaned up, and I was willing to do it. And after trying to convince people for about 4 years, I didn't really get anywhere. But then I saw a NASCAR race that gave me an idea to get a sponsor, because I figured if a company sponsor a race car, they'll sponsor river cleanup. And so pretty much just got one small sponsor in '97, and then just started working alone towards that bigger goal. And a crew of 6 people, 2 workboats, 1,000 miles of shoreline, and 15 years later, here I am still working on that same mission.
Who started off with you? You said you had 6 volunteers, or were they? Paid,
No,
or?
it was like whatever was left at the end of the year, but most people quit. So it was just like whatever I could give them that just to be able to have enough money to keep going. I was certainly really pretty lean, but no, it was just basically, you could call them volunteers, because there wasn't anything. I mean, maybe they made $1 an hour. I have no idea, and that's really the truth on that. No, it was just I got a crew of people that I knew that would be willing to do it, and whatever adventure came our way, they'd be able to handle it, because it was certainly a really tough deal. And I think all of them look back just like I do and think those are really good, hard but good times, like memorable experiences. And certainly it got us to where we are today.
How did people along the river react to what you were doing?
I think a lot of people thought at first, because I did set out with such a large goal, like, I don't, is he going to stick with it? Just like a couple years, whatever. But the truth of the thing is like, I don't really care what people thought. I mean, most of them were really encouraging, at least the ones that I ran into. But it needs to be cleaned up. And, so I just keep sticking with that.
How did the thing start to grow? By word of mouth? Or?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, we just put posters in towns about cleanups, and I didn't really realize the power of cleanups when I started, like community cleanups, like getting a lot of people out there. I was kind of forced into it, like the Isaac Walton League and a couple other environmental groups and churches and schools kept calling me, and finally I did one small cleanup and then figured, man, that was really cool. All those people got out there. We got a ton of work done. Maybe I should just open up to the public. So we did one here in the Quad Cities, and now, I mean, it's growing into something much bigger, but pretty much back then it was just word of mouth. The newspaper, if they do a free ad for me, or flyers on a telephone pole, pretty much is how we did it.
How did the...
Take a step forward to keep bumping the tripod.
Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. Okay. How did the corporate sponsorship grow along the way? People heard about it and they wanted to be part of it?
Yeah, we've had a lot of, we have a lot of great sponsors now, and a lot of them have been with us, like, I mean, Alcoa's been with us the whole time, Honda's been with us the whole time, and then some got on, like, 14 years ago, Cargill, all these different ones, this John Deere, they're just continually, and you got to build upon it. You might get a little bit one year, and they see what you do and what kind of results you have. And I think now a lot of companies, so not to switch gears, but sponsorships are really important, obviously, to keep the operation going. Money turns the props, and I think we've built really good relationships over the years with not just the people that actually write the checks, but the employees. And I think we have a lot of opportunities for engagement, whether it's clean up the river, trees, plant trees, honeysuckle removal, whatever. And if you create those opportunities, you get buy-in from the employees, and that's kind of what I think we've been really successful at doing, is building upon relationships with our sponsors and then accomplishing really tangible results year after year.
Yeah, I watched a really good video last night about Caterpillar and how everybody came out and got involved with it, Mike Rowe and everybody.
Yep.
Do you have any idea how much stuff you've picked up over the years, Chad?
Yeah, it's like we've picked up like 8 million pounds, like about around 1,000 refrigerators, like 78,000 tires, almost 4,000 55-gallon barrels. The list just goes on and on. I mean, just you name it, it's out there. And it's been a real noticeable difference, not just because of our efforts, but just all the environmental groups doing work, all the media's put into this. Like, it's really been a movement, and so I think we're making a real difference.
I was going to get to that. You grew up out here. You've been doing this work for years now. Mm-hmm. How are the rivers starting to look as a result of all this?
I mean, in general, definitely, like, it's not just me that notices a difference. Like, I just came up from St. Louis, and it was really, in certain spots, it was really bad because the recent flooding was really bad and deposited a lot. But overall, it was pretty good. A lot better than I went 15 years ago, like a lot better. And that's really good to see, but it's not just me seeing it. It's recreational boaters seeing it, bass fishermen, duck hunters. Like, so many people are like, man, it's a lot different in 15 years. And again, that's not just because me. I'm just part of a movement of all these different people working hard for cleaner rivers. Just this organization alone has had 70,000 volunteers come and help us out.
How many people are full-time engaged in what you're doing here?
There's 13 full-time employees right now, and pretty much everybody's just as dedicated to the mission as I am, and we just go after it. We did about over 160 events last year in 9 states.
Now, there's an educational component to what you're doing now. There's a classroom going on over there now. What are you trying to? What are some of the things you're teaching here?
We actually just we cover, so we do educational workshops on the barge. We have a classroom. We just built it mainly for students now. We've had over 1,700 teachers to our workshops since we started, and we cover a wide range of topics, all related to the river. I mean, we cover, history of the river, steamboat eras, we cover music, we cover Native Americans, you name it. But we also cover jobs too, job opportunities, especially for students, running towboats or working at a lock and dam or running an elevator. Like, we kind of cover something, so try to relate it in every aspect we can to their lives. And but the main deal is what may be done 60 miles away impacts right here. And we eat the fish, we drink the water. There's 18 million people that drink the water every day. So we try to instill that in them, but just kind of mix it up too. So there's different workshops in different places depending on who you can have there. So we just recently hired a full-time environmental science teacher. So we have 2 full-time teachers. So now we're starting to get more into the science-based curriculum on it. And I pretty much let them run with it. What they think is good is good with me.
I understand you've got a pretty good sized board of directors.
Yeah.
Tell me about the kind of expertise that they bring to this whole thing.
Pretty much for this particular organization, because it is really operational based, with the barges and tugboats and marine, you got to have a pretty well-rounded board. So, we have marine experts, some people that are in the field. We have lawyers. We have, bankers, good with finances. Marketing, you name it. It's a pretty diverse board, and certainly I'm not an expert in any of those fields. Never set out to be. I'm good at what I do, and getting people out here and have a safe and fun experience and something they'll return to. But having those guys, I don't have to be good at that, and so it's a good thing.
What's a typical cleanup day like? I've seen some of the tapes of it, and everybody looks like they're having a blast.
Yeah.
There's kind of a rhythm to everything.
There is, there's no typical cleanup because the water is always changing. It's either rough or calm or fast or slow or somewhere in between any of those. So you kind of gotta guess it, but you just take it as it comes, and there is a sort of rhythm to a cleanup, especially, we did 160 plus events last year. We got it down, but we certainly love each time we go. And, I always figure, like, if there's 10 people there or 100 people there, that's 100 times what I'm going to get done in that amount of time. So, like, I'm super pumped. And definitely, I love making it really fun, with music or whatever theatrics we can add to it, but also safe experience. And then have the people at the end of the day think that, they came out and they actually made a difference, because that's exactly what each and every one of them does.
When I was growing up along the Ohio back in the 60s and 70s, unfortunately, it was just kind of a dumping ground.
Right.
They just hauled the stuff out, threw it in there.
Yeah.
How is the culture changing over the years, thanks to the kind of stuff that you guys are doing?
I would say from St. Louis up to St. Paul, like, the culture really has changed. And, there's certainly a lot of work to do, but people are just a lot more responsive to cleanups and keeping it clean and knowing the impacts of what, each individual does. There's a lot less dumping. You can see that. And, we have adopted a Mississippi Mile as well. That's working pretty well as like a proactive approach and getting people out there when we're not there. And so I just think, again, like, it's a movement and people have really caught on. You just look at all the cities and towns, like, they're making it their front door again. So, the steamboat era, it was their front door. Then everybody, once the steamboat era went away, they turned it back to the river, and it was a dumping ground. Now everybody's using it like, this is a centerpiece of our community. This is where we get our drinking water, but also this is why the town or city is there. And so people are embracing that, and I think just culturally things are changing. This is honestly like clean water, anything we're doing, and it's simplified by cleaning up garbage, but it's really just part of a social movement, and like any other social movement.
How many rivers are you working on?
We've done over 700 cleanups on 22 rivers in 18 states, but the Mississippi continues to be our main focus, and will certainly always be.
What's next on the horizon as far as growing this thing? What's the next thing you want to tackle?
We'll probably not going to grow it. It's at a decent, manageable size. Like, a lot of people are like, grow, you got to grow. Yeah. If it works, and it works really well, and it's manageable, then certainly then you need to think about that, And so I like the size it is, and I like what we're able to accomplish. I think for where we'll be working is, I think we'll probably move move farther south. Like we have a bigger towboat that will take us safely to these new areas. We'll end the season in New Orleans, and then over the next few years, we'll continue working in Memphis till we feel like there's a lot of momentum there, and we'll probably do some more work in Texas and places like that in East.
Did you ever have any idea it could turn into something like this?
No real idea. You just take it one day at a time and figure out what you need to do and where you need to go and how you're going to best use your time to make the biggest difference.
What's the most satisfying thing about what you've been able to accomplish so far, Chad?
Probably the most satisfying thing that I have been able to see or hear is two things. Going from boat loads when I first started to barge loads, and then seeing and listening to all the people who have said that change has definitely happened in the 15 years that I've been doing this. So that's been really gratifying.
It's one of those things that you're a young guy still. It's hard to talk about legacies and stuff, but what do you think it might be?
So my legacy, I don't know. I don't really think about that too much, but maybe a cleaner river.
What did you think when you got the notification that you were going to get the Lincoln Award?
I was considering how many people live in the state, and then how many people are picked for the Lincoln Award. I really was pretty honored, but it wasn't really till I was at the ceremony and at Augustana, and it was really, really cool. Like I felt like it was really, really big honor, and it was nice to. I thought the governor's speech was really good, and I thought everybody there was like, it was a really good event. I've been to a lot of events, but I've never been to anything quite like it, and it was really cool, and everybody was a lot older than I was, so I really felt honored, and it was pretty much just awesome.
I want to backtrack just one more time here. Somebody sees this and they wonder, what are you doing, Abby?
Just wondering where that sound. Okay.
Oh,
She's talking back there.
well, we're also hearing the boats bumping against
That's
stuff.
what it is?
Yeah. That's what.
It's
Still
fine.
rolling? Okay.
It's fine.
For somebody seeing this, Chad,
Mhm.
and they're like, well, how can I make a difference? How could they get involved with doing what you're doing?
The thing is like, I don't really, even though I'm rocking the logos because I just got a new hat, so whatever. But no, the thing is like I would say, how can you make a difference? Is a big difference is just like, honestly, when it comes to that, I mean, obviously not littering, but recycling makes a big difference, especially if you add it up over the years. But get involved in your local organization. Like there's a lot of people out there that are trying to do really good things, and they need your help. And it doesn't just have to be like, picking up garbage once a year, but get involved in the board of directors or use your skills. Think about what you're good at. If you're good at writing, maybe you can help somebody with a grant. If you're good at data entry, every organization can utilize skills that you probably aren't even thinking about. But believe me, from personal experience, like, we need your help.
One thing I didn't ask is what happens to all the stuff that's like over on the barge there?
What we do is, so in 2 days from now or 3 days from now, we will take all that stuff and then we will sort it out all by hand with a large group of people. We have a ton of, we have about 175 people, and then we're going to sort everything out by hand. So about 80% of everything we bring in is sorted out and recycled.
That's the best end goal for everything.
Yes.
Get it back in.
Not only get it out of the river, but actually do the right thing with it.
I think I'm pretty much at the end of the questions.
Cool.
Is there anything I didn't ask that you want to cover, man?
No, not really.
I think
you got. I mean,
you pretty much nailed it. Yeah.
Yeah.
What I'd like to do now is break you loose from
Sure.
the wire and maybe follow you around a little bit on the